All right, you guys. Hope everybody's doing great today. Today is what? What is today? Today is Thursday, June 20th. Winter solstice is tomorrow. Interesting, right? So there's some pretty crazy stuff going on. I wanted to share a couple things. First of all, I'm going to talk to you guys about what happened yesterday, in the sense that the Louisiana just changed the laws over to making the Ten Commandments a part of the school, and people are looking at that and believing that that is something that is a good thing. Like finally it's changing, and it's a breath of hope. But you have to know a little bit more of the details behind what is being stated in that whole presentment, because the problem with that whole picture and everything that they're telling you in that presentation is that the second commandment was changed, in that, and the different versions of the Bible that exist don't really mean what they say they mean. And so you guys are getting something that looks or has the image of, remember, like the name is what idem sonens is, a doctrine that you're prejudiced by, because we don't recognize what that is in law. We think it's the same thing. And because it's not the same thing, well, we run into situations where we don't understand stuff. So today's presentation is going to be on something that I think that everybody's going to find an interest in, but I want to make sure that I'm on the right one first before I start moving. Okay? So I'd like to welcome everybody today to, oops, this is the wrong one. Hang on just a second, guys. I need to do something really quick, because I did this and then I didn't save the right one. And then I got to bring it up again. So give me just a moment. Let me remove this, and then we got to add another one. So give me. So I'm going to keep talking about this as soon as I get to this part here and upload it. I'll get it started, and then I'll continue talking about it. Yep, this is the one. All right. So the original commandment said that we weren't to worship false idols. And when it's presented to us, it's presented as if it's just something different. It's not. That's not what it says. So we got to pay attention to what their words are and what they're using and what they've really removed, because there's a big difference between a false idol, which is anything, and then what they're saying it is. So I want you guys to go and look and research that stuff yourself too, and go look it up. I want you to check it out, because it's not what it seems. They're telling you that it is something good. Now, what's going to happen? Here's what happens, and this is, like, I am not making this up. This is something that's already been stated in Scripture, but like some people don't get how all of this works. Is that so what is happening? This is the big picture. The bigger group of people are making a membership, and they're saying, okay, well, everybody needs to believe in this because these are good beliefs. And then they get everybody to go and believe in those and support that very idea without knowing that it's the different idea. And then everyone goes and supports that idea. And when it gets down to it, it wasn't the same idea. And the thing is that you're supporting the idea but not saying anything. And then the other generations get stuck with it, and they don't even know it. And they are told that you agreed to everything that's happening now, and that's what's happening to you. You're being told that the generation before you, oh no, this has always been this way. No, it hasn't always been this way. It hasn't. It's not been this way ever. So we're coming into a time that's been different, and it's much different than what we perceive it to be. So today we're talking about, Lone Wolf podcast presentation, right? Before I begin, I'd like to toast Tito.
The following program contains mature content and is the truth. No part herein is intended to be legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Audience discretion is advised.
Okay, So today we're doing a presentation for you guys, and this presentation is going to be on historical context and distinctions of the certificate of live birth. Okay, so I'll get started here. All right. See anything else I need to know? Okay, well, just welcome everybody. We're diving into the world of birth certificates, and these documents are essential for establishing our legal identity. Okay, citizenship and various rights and responsibilities. From their historical origins to their legal implications, we're going to explore everything you need to know about birth certificates in the next hour. Okay, so let's start by exploring the historical context and distinctions between the certificate of live birth and the birth certificate. The certificate of live birth is the preliminary documentation completed at the time of the child's birth. And typically it's by the healthcare providers. And this practice, it dates back to early 20th century from hospitals when they began systematically recording birth details. Early examples are traced to reforms aimed at improving health and accountability in medical practices. Now, remember, it's aimed at improving these things, but when it started, it's told that it started for this, and then it has other potentially agendas. It doesn't follow that agenda anymore. So we got to be aware of that, of how that's working, okay? And just be aware that there's another side to a lot of these things and numbers. So these initial records were often rudimentary, but they laid groundwork for more standardized practices. Historically, similar records might have been kept by midwives or recorded in parish registers in a less formalized manner. Parish registers from the 16th and 17th centuries often contain entries of births, marriages, and deaths, serving both religious and administrative purposes. For instance, in England, the Parish Register Act of 1538 required the clergy to document these events, a practice that provided early forms of birth documentation. And that was taken from 1912, a citation in 1912. I'm going to show you guys references for everything that I've gotten here so far, so that you guys are clear on that. So, on the other hand, the birth certificate is a vital record issued by a government authority that serves the official documentation of an individual's birth. The formalization of birth certificates began in the 19th century as governments sought to establish national identity systems, and the development of these systems were often driven by the need to manage population data for nothing less than taxation, conscription, and public administration. So governing people, basically. Let me move on to the next slide here. Actually, I'm going to move this over for you guys so that I don't have to move it around. All right. I think we're on. Okay, so it includes, the birth certificate includes essential personal details like an individual's full name and date and place of birth and a parentage. And in many countries, birth certificates also incorporate national identification numbers, and they reflect their evolution into comprehensive identity documents. Historically, birth certificates have been crucial in establishing citizenship and nationality, significantly impacting social and legal status. For example, the introduction of Napoleonic Code in France in 1804 formalized civil registration, making birth certificates a crucial part of legal identity. That's cited in Napoleon I in 1804, Article 34. Over time, let me move on here, and I want you guys to see. Okay, so modern issuance, birth certificate issuance. All right. Over time, the role and format of birth certificates have evolved. In the United States, the first standardized birth registration area was established in 1915, initially covering only 10 states. And by 1933, this expanded to cover all the states. Imagine that. marking the birth certificate's role as an essential legal document. That's from the United States Census Bureau in 1936, page 124. So birth certificates as legal title and its implications. Let me see here. I want to see something because there we go. See, that's me, guys. That's me. I wanted to create and show you guys, like put myself into the slide somewhere. So not only did I get myself on the birth certificate there, Patrick, but I'm also Patrick down here. And I'm Patrick here. So, Anyway, I just thought I'd add a little humor to that. Anyway, your birth certificate can be understood as a form of legal title representing your identification and civil status. But what does this really mean? As a legal title, the birth certificate is the primary document confirming an individual's legal existence and identity. Historically, this identification has been crucial for census taking, taxation, conscription, as we said. In historical context, birth certificates also played a role in inheritance and succession, particularly in determining legitimate heirs. For instance, during the medieval period, proving one's birth and lineage was essential for claiming inheritance rights. The Statute of Wills in 1540, England required proof of legitimate birth for the transfer of property through wills. Okay. I don't know where. I'm still not good at this visual stuff, so you guys got to bear with me. I think we're here. I still think, yeah, we're still here. When the legal title represented by the birth certificate is not actively claimed or utilized by the individual, referred to as a cestui trust or beneficiary, it may be considered abandoned or dormant. Under certain legal interpretations, such unclaimed birth certificates are seen as defaulting into the public charitable trust. This implies that the state assumes responsibility for management and execution of the trust, overseeing the welfare and interest of the individual. And that's from Davis in 1960, page 73. Again, I'm going to show you guys the credits for this. Yes, we're right here. Okay. So the management of unclaimed or dormant estates dates back to medieval times when the crown or local lords would take control of unclaimed property to ensure its productive use and prevent legal disputes. Isn't that nice of them? So what they did was they said, oh, well, we don't know whose this is, so we're just going to take control of it. We don't want anybody arguing over it. And certainly we're going to make sure it goes to good use. That was the excuse that was given. So I mean, whether we believe that or not, folks, like that's irrelevant. We just have to realize that if you're going to let it happen, then they're going to take it. And you know what? How did they take it? Did they take it through legit means? So it means that it was never properly transferred, which means that no one owns it still. So it is what it is. I'm not going to elaborate on that. You guys can take out of that what you want. But there's a lot of information in what I just gave you. So the management of unclaimed or dormant estates goes way back. All right. Here we go again. All right. So if a birth certificate is not properly claimed or if individuals fails to assert their rights, they can be misclassified, leading to several adverse outcomes. Okay, I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. All right. So individuals may be treated as wards of the state, and their estates and assets managed under public charitable trust arrangements. Historically, this mirrors practices where the state or monarch would assume guardianship over individuals without a clear legal status. So when you guys don't have a clear legal status, then that's what happens. The monarchs or assume guardianship, or the state assumes guardianship, depending on where you are, over individuals who don't have a clear legal status. And that's taken from Green in 1970, page 101. You guys will get this again. For example, during the 17th century, laws were enacted to manage the estates of individuals who were missing or presumed dead, like those who were lost in wars or this is key, guys, those who were lost in wars or lost in plagues, okay? The plagues that were created, that were made, okay? then we just say, oh, look, we have a plague. Uh-oh, they abandoned it. Uh-oh, they're missing. And they could just declare people missing. You guys, when you start looking at the history of this, you go back into the history and you start saying, okay, well, when do these plagues begin? And you start really getting deep into the plagues when they happened. Well, I mean, if everyone has an estate and no one has it claimed, then somebody that knows about it gets it. If no one claims it, you get what I'm saying? It is what it is. Okay, that's hot. Okay, so the state would step in to manage affairs because they were trying to ensure that assets are protected and used for public benefits. Okay, guys, what are public benefits? Public benefits are CPS, DHS, IRS. Those are all public benefits. Okay, they're there to benefit the public. And, well, it's your job to judge whether they're benefits or not, or whether you want to go back and get your rights. Because the bottom line here is that, and this is what it comes down to, is that people are misleading people by telling them to do things that are submissive or subservient to their real rights. When you guys go do that, you waive the other rights. The selection of one is the elimination of all others. You can't get married to the world. Remember that? I told you that. You can until you get caught. Just like that mint leaf that just got caught on my lip. Okay? Estates and assets may be considered abandoned if not actively claimed, leading to state control over these resources. That's what happens, guys. I've got a friend of mine that just contacted me the other day and said that her dad had a claim that was over $1 million against an insurance company that when he died, it would go to his daughter. And she contacted me and said that they didn't even know where it was. They had no idea. They're like, nope, no one knows about anything. It doesn't exist. And so I'm gonna help her find what's missing, because like that is kind of important. That, you know, her dad left that for her, and she can't live, you know, because she's not aware of how things are going. It could improve her life. So absolutely, I'm going to help that. So it can result in the loss of personal autonomy over one's property and rights, just like that, similar to historical forfeiture laws, where unclaimed land would revert to the sovereign. Okay, what's the sovereign? The sovereign was the state, because the states all declared sovereignty, right? But then when the state, you have different sides of the state. You have the public state and you have the private state. And which part are you of? That's the big question, is where you fit in. And I'm not trying to get anybody to change anything, okay? I'm not trying to get anybody to change anything. I am trying to say that if you guys realize that maybe something isn't right in the contracts that you've been in for some reason or whatever, and I can't tell you that reason, only you know. If for some reason it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. And the reason it's not right is because, well, there's things that you don't know about. And we're scared of them until we learn about them. And once we learn about them, they're not feared things anymore. We don't fear them. So the historical examples includes concepts of escheat, where unclaimed property would return to the crown of the state, ensuring that property remained productive and disputes over ownership were minimized. Let's see. Okay. So this is the small print here. Another significant issue is the role of birth certificates and adhesion contracts, which can effectively waive private civilian status. I remember I told you guys that. I told you that. That waives your private civilian status. Okay? An adhesion contract is a standard contract drafted by one party, usually a party with a stronger bargaining power. So when you walk into a motor vehicle division and you sign a driver's license, well, who writes the contracts up? What do they say? Sign here. Do you get to, like, write them a counteroffer? No, you don't, because, well, this is what it is. An adhesion contract is a standardized contract drafted by one party, drafted by DMV, drafted by Motor Vehicle Division, drafted by Social Security Administration, signed by another party. Can be anybody, usually with a weaker bargaining power. Well, what did you have to bargain with? You had your signature, right? Signature and no knowledge. with little or no negotiation between the parties. Did you negotiate? Did you say, hey, I'll gladly do this if you guys like bump me a little of this for this? And, you know, I got some needs too that are kind of on the side I didn't have here, but they're private. Did you do that? If you didn't, then, well, you're in the same boat, okay? So basically these contracts are presented on a take it or leave it basis. So like either you come up with the $5,000 and down payment and, you know, pay off these accounts on your card, or we're not giving you the car. Really simple, guys. It's really simple. So I know that seem simple, but when individuals use their birth certificates to engage in public or governmental processes, they're often implicitly entering into adhesion contracts. For example, obtaining a social security number, driver's license, or passport requires presenting a birth certificate. By doing so, individuals may unknowingly waive certain rights associated with their private civilian status, consenting to terms or terms set by public authorities. And that's from Slauson in 1971, page 529. The implications of adhesion contracts. Well, these contracts can include terms that waive certain legal rights and subject individuals to public laws and regulations. This waiver can lead to a situation where individuals, through the use of their birth certificates, are classified under public jurisdiction rather than maintaining their private civilian status. That's from Rakoff in 1983. The implicit, hang on just a second, I got to move over here. Okay, so there's another picture of me. That's a personal portrait when I used to wear ties, but I stopped wearing ties with shorts. So now we're on to other things. So the implicit consent to the adhesion contracts can lead to misclassification and put private people as public entities. And it results in the application of public law and administration over their personal affairs and their estates. That's Hillman, 2006. Legal cases like Williams versus State highlight instances where individuals contested their classification, seeking to reclaim their rights under private civilian status. The Cestui v. Trust Act of 1666. I don't know. Let's see where we are. Oh, no, that's not it. We're not even done yet. Okay, so the Cestui v. Trust Act of, or Cestui v. Act of 1666. We're going to rewind a little bit to that. Okay, this act has profound implications for trust law and the administration of estates. The act was originally intended to address the issue of people presumed dead to prolonged absence, particularly during times of conflict or plague. So what they did is they created the Cestui Trust Act for a time during war times. Okay, so like, well, they said right here, during conflict, so war times, or plague, when there was a lot of disease. So when it was chaos, right? During times of chaos. So during times of chaos, they can create chaos where people go missing, or they just, it's basically like, I don't know, the easiest way I can explain it, guys, seriously, this is the easiest way I can explain it. This is kind of crude, but it's like the purge. It's like the purge. It's like during this time, they create these emergencies so that they can justify certain things and do them without any sort of like authority. They just go and do it. Like, okay, now we got the authority right now during wartime to push it. That's something that they certainly could do anything that they wanted to at any given time. And there's a reason why people are building places to go underground, folks. There's a reason. They know that conflict it's inevitable under the circumstances, but it's not. See, everything we've been taught here is been fear. It's just fear this, fear that. It's just a process. It's like you're in a time of evolution where these people are just painting it like it's like the devil just did everything and you're going to be doomed. And it's not that. It is a time of like people are to keep on their straight and narrow to make sure that they're following the same path that they should have been on. And we're supposed to follow that. I truly believe that. So, you know, you can sit and worry and immerse yourself in all of these problems that they put all over, the television and the news and everything. And those people they're owned by the same television. They own all the same companies. Do you know that a long time ago they used to be owned by like a lot of different companies, and now it's like 4 or 5 companies or something like that. It's something very small that own all of the news companies, and they're all owned by one. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's all just one company. You guys, I mean, every single thing is owned by the United States. Every single thing, unless you guys have private trust. Unless you're dealing in private trust, everything is owned by the United States because you have no claim to the title. It's got a legal title that's abandoned. You're presumed to be holding it, but you're not doing anything good with it. So you're not doing anything right. Trust me when I tell you that. It's really bad. And when you learn like what's really happening, you just realize that it's all you. You can change it at any time. Okay. So this act again was originally addressed during the Great Plague of London, for example, and subsequent events. Many individuals were lost, necessitating legal mechanisms to handle their estates. It wasn't necessary, but they created a situation where all these people are missing and they have no way to do accounting for them. Uh-oh, we need to declare them missing so we can move on. And that's really what they did. The act provided for legal framework for managing the property of those who were missing for extended periods, making sure that their estates were not neglected or misused. Oh, no, we don't want to do that. Well, many of the problems that happened and occurred and transpired over time were that, well, there was no efforts to really find anybody. You get what I'm saying? So they would go put it somewhere where no one anymore would know, and it might be published in the paper, but after it's gone, people don't know how to go and get stuff now. I'll tell you that right now. I know because I've had people ask me, like this happened to me. These things are abhorrent. Some of the things that happened to me were horrible too, but I didn't know how to do it. I'm like, well, the way that I learned, guys, this is what I learned. I learned, okay, you got to go through everything, go through all the negative stuff first, and then you can learn something. And then you can get maybe compensated. So it wasn't always what we thought it was. So in contemporary context, the principle of the Cestui Que Vie Act are sometimes cited in discussions about the status of birth certificates and the management of unclaimed estates. If an individual does not assert their legal identity and rights as documented by the birth certificate, there are interpretations suggested that their estate could be treated under similar principles as those outlined in the Cestui Que Vie Act, effectively placing their assets and rights under state management. That's Williams, 1995. The act underscores the importance of active management and assertion of one's legal status to prevent estates from being classified as abandoned. Historically, this has been means to ensure the continuity of property use and legal clarity. The state, in assuming control, acts as a trustee, executing the trust for the public benefit of the presumed interests of the absent individual. This role of the state as trustee has evolved over centuries, but remains rooted in the principle of equitable management and stewardship. Modern trust laws continue to reflect these principles, emphasizing the responsibility of trustees to manage and protect assets for the benefit of beneficiaries. Now let's delve into the Uniform Commercial Code and documents of titles that relate to the birth certificate. The UCC is a comprehensive set of laws governing commercial transactions in the United States. It standardizes regulations across states, facilitating business and commerce. And one key aspect of the UCC is its handling of documents of title, which are legal documents representing the right of possession of goods. See Article 7 in the UCC for more information on that. Documents of title include instruments like warehouse receipts and bills of lading, which signify ownership and the right to transfer goods. These documents are crucial in trade and commerce, ensuring the smooth transfer of ownership and providing security for transactions. And that's UCC 7-104. In a broader sense, birth certificates can be considered a type of document of title. They establish an individual's identity and civil status akin to how a warehouse receipt indicates ownership of goods. This comparison highlights the birth certificate's role in confirming legal identity and the rights associated with it. The analogy extends to the idea that, like documents of title under the UCC, birth certificates are foundational in establishing and transferring legal rights. For instance, they are required for obtaining passports, social security numbers, and other legal identifications, effectively acting as title to one's identity in the eyes of the state and in society. Okay, so moving on, we're going to look at a close-up of UCC 7-202 and in its entirety. So UCC 7-202 is a warehouse receipt, the effective omission. A warehouse receipt need not be in any particular form. That's UCC 7-202A. Now, why I'm reading you the code is not because I want you to go use it, but I want you to understand what they're doing in their realm, okay? Because to you and I, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you that right now, because what we are isn't even, it's above where these things are. But you guys got to understand what this is so you can tell them what you need, okay? The location of the warehouse facility where their goods are stored is number 1. The unique identification code of the receipt is number 3. A statement whether the goods received will be declared delivered to the bearer or a named person or to a named person or its order. See, all of these factors in UCC 7-202 all apply to the birth certificate, okay? And a warehouse may insert its receipt at any terms that are not contrary to this article and do not impair the obligation of delivery or its duty care under this article. Any contrary provision is ineffective. And that's the legal conclusion to that. So UCC 7-202 with the birth certificate, we can see the location. Birth certificates specify the place of birth. Number 2 is the date of issue. Birth certificates include the date of birth, right? Number 3, the unique identification code. Many birth certificates have a unique code file number with a state file number, right? So the statement of delivery. Number 4, while not directly applicable, birth certificates indicate the delivery of a newborn to the parents. Absolutely. Number 5, rates of storage or handling. Not directly relevant, but the issuance often involves administrative fees, like they're storing and handling the baby, right? That's what it is. They're charging an account. Description of goods. Birth certificates describe the newborn, a name, the sex, the parentage. That's the description of the goods. The signature. Birth certificates are signed by an authorized registrar. Look at that. You'll see on the birth certificate, there's a registrar. Ownership. Birth certificates imply the state's role in registering the individual. Number 9, advances and liabilities. They're not directly applicable, but could imply state records and responsibility. Absolutely. You guys have accountability on some things, right? Like if you get pulled over, you got responsibilities, right? When you show the ID. The legal conclusion is that birth certificates operate similarly to warehouse receipts in confirming and transferring legal identity. They serve as foundational title to one's identity, and they ensure that the state recognizes and manages this identity within its jurisdiction. This comparison underscores the importance of understanding one's birth certificate as a critical legal document that interacts with various aspects of law and governance, particularly in establishing rights and responsibilities. Okay? So, several legislative acts, I'm going to move back here. Several legislative acts specifically address the regulation, issuance, and use of birth certificates. Let's take a closer look. The Vital Statistics Act refers to various state-level legislative measures in the United States that regulate the registration of vital events, including births, deaths, marriages, and divorces. These acts mandate the collection, recording, and preservation of vital statistics, which are crucial for public health and for administrative purposes. The earliest forms of birth registration in the United States were managed by local authorities and religious institutions. By the mid-19th century, states began to establish centralized systems for recording vital statistics. Massachusetts passed the first comprehensive state law for vital registration in 1842. These systems were essential for developing accurate public health data, which informed policy decisions and resource allocation. Developed by the U.S. Public Health Service, the Model State Vital Statistics Act aims to standardize the collection of management of vital statistics across the states. The Act has been revised several times to address emerging issues and improve the accuracy and reliability of vital records. The first version of the Model State Vital Statistics Act was published in 1907, with subsequent revisions in 1942, 1959, 1977, and 1992. That's pursuant to the U.S. Public Health Service 1992 publication. The adoption of the Act by states has facilitated the development of a comprehensive and standard system for vital records. The Social Security Act of 1935 established the Social Security Program, which provides financial assistance to retirees, disabled individuals, and families of deceased workers. The Act also requires proof of birth for obtaining a Social Security number. Initially, Social Security numbers were primarily to workers. This was the rule. But the program was later expanded to include all U.S. citizens, with birth certificates serving as the primary proof of identity of newborns. And that's pursuant to the Social Security Administration publication in 1936. The introduction of Social Security numbers was a significant step in developing a comprehensive system for tracking individuals' earnings and benefits. Other significant legislative acts include the Immigration and Nationality Act, which requires proof of birth for establishing citizenship and nationality, and the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA, which allows employees to take unpaid leave for family and medical reasons, including the birth of a child. Employers may require a birth certificate as proof of the birth event. And that's per the Family and Medical Leave Act of 1993, published in 1993. The Real ID Act sets standards for the issuance of driver's licenses and identification cards, requiring applicants to provide proof of identity, including a birth certificate, to obtain a Real ID compliant document. And that's pursuant to the Real ID Act publication in 2005. This act was implemented to enhance security and ensure that identification documents meet specific standards for authenticity and reliability for United States citizens. Historical data shows that by the early 20th century, birth registration had become widespread in many countries. For example, in the United States, the registration area for births expanded from covering 10 states in 1915 to all states by 1933. That's the U.S. Census Bureau in 1936, page 124. This expansion marked the formalization of birth certificates as essential legal documents. In England and Wales, the Birth and Death Registrations Act of 1836 established a central system for recording births. By 1874, it was estimated that over 90% of births were registered within the statutory period, and that's per the Office of National Statistics in 1890. The centralization improved the accuracy and reliability of vital records, which were essential for public administration and planning for those in the public charitable trust. Different countries have varied approaches to birth registration and issuance for birth certificates. In France, the Napoleonic Code of 1804 mandated civil registration of births, emphasizing state control over personal status, documentation, and that's from Napoleon I, 1804, Article 34. In Germany, the Prussian Civil Code of 1794 required detailed records of births, marriages, and deaths, laying the groundwork for comprehensive civil registries, and that's the Prussian Civil Code of 1794, Section 210. The role of birth certificates in legal and social contexts cannot be overstated. In addition to proving identity and citizenship, birth certificates have been historically to assert rights to property and inheritance. For example, in medieval England, proof of birth was lineage for essential for claiming inheritance as detailed in the Statute of Wills of 1540, and later legal texts, and that's out of Baker in 1985. Birth certificates also played a crucial role in social reform movements. In the early 20th century, birth registration campaigns were part of broader efforts to reduce infant mortality and improve public health. By ensuring that all births were recorded, authorities could better allocate resources and monitor health trends. You know what? That's all subjective because you look at, they want to monitor health trends to make sure that trends are going their way. Need I say more? The concept of the legal fiction is discussed in constitutional law as fiction, highlights how birth certificates operate within a framework of assumed truths. Judicial opinions often treat the information on birth certificates as incontrovertible facts, even though these documents can sometimes be inaccurate or incomplete. Legal fictions allow the law to function smoothly by providing clear and standardized documentation. However, they also introduce complexities when discrepancies arise, requiring careful legal interpretation and potential rectification. Birth certificates are often foundational documents that play a critical role in establishing identity, in protecting rights, and in ensuring access to benefits and services. Various legislative acts, including the Vital Statistics Act, the Model State Vital Statistics Act, and the Social Securities Act, have been established comprehensive frameworks for the registration, issuance, and use of birth certificates. These acts have evolved over time to address changing societal needs and ensure the accuracy, security, and utility of birth records. However, it is crucial to understand that when you operate within the realm of statutes, rules, and codes as a private civilian, you may inadvertently waive certain rights and consent to a different set of laws that are not private. This transition often occurs through the use of adhesion contracts and the implicit agreements made when utilizing public documents like birth certificates. By being aware of these dynamics, you can better navigate the legal landscape and maintain your private civilian status where it's desired. So I give you guys a call to action to learn more on the topic of these things, because they are important to know about. You guys need to know it, and you need to have it understood like the back of your hand, like it's not anything that is foreign to you. If you guys don't know it, then you can't assert any rights that you have, okay? And, I want to, I know we're not quite at the hour right now, but I'm going to go ahead and take a look at comments. And I want to thank you guys for joining us on this journey through history and the significance of the birth certificates. And remember, I don't give you guys legal advice often, but I will always offer you the truth, unlimited truth. And if you found this information valuable, please like and share and subscribe for more informative content. And stay curious until I see you next time. So let's check out the comments here. All right. Clear about it. Yeah, so this is one of the comments. I never knew that when we give birth and we fill out the birth certificate, we're supposed to make it clear about this child is in a trust like power of attorney. I'm probably not explaining it right. No, you're explaining it right. So what it is it's really hard to do that from your position when you guys don't have anything to walk in with. But if you were privy to the knowledge, and this is really what it is, if you're privy to the knowledge, then you walk in there with the information already and you just hand it to them. And then that's the instructions for them to follow, because it was created from the last time that you were put into the same trust. You get it? So it passes from one family. And that's what the Rockefellers are, these, all the Bilderbergs, the Rockefellers, the Warburgs, they're very famous for that. Trump is famous for his trusts and his LLCs and businesses, dissolving that stuff. Because you can go over here, create it, and then when it doesn't work out, you just, oh, sorry, that didn't work out. Dissolve it, zero everything out, and start over again. That's what they keep doing. Keep creating assets, put them in a safe place, and then dissolve it, and just keep moving stuff that way. But it creates debt that way. That's why it's not good. But those that know how to do it can take advantage of the system really, really well. So I want to show you guys, while I'm sitting here, I'll show you the references here. These are all the references that I had. So Anderson's Dictionary, J.H. Baker, Introduction to English Legal History, Modern Legal Frameworks, Harvard University, Hospital Records and Registration, McGraw-Hill, Trusts and Estates, birth registration practices in the early 20th century, historical legal documents and analysis, public trusts and legal titles, legal management and abandoned estates, the evolution of state trusteeship, historical guardianship practices, forfeiture laws and estate management, adhesion contracts. This is where my sources are, guys. So you can see that, there's a lot of research that goes into this, what I brought you today. All of these things, everything that I gave you is cited with facts, because I want to be sure that there's so much false information out there, guys and gals. Like, if people go out there and just start spewing stuff out, then, it's going to get removed eventually. But if it's fact checked like this, if I have citations, nobody's going to remove my stuff, because it's all public knowledge. You can go there and get whatever I'm giving you right off this. But when people go and create these other things, and telling people go fill out tax forms, or telling them how to go be trustees, that's way bad. And not only that, but when you do stuff like that, you waive rights. It's like, nobody wants to go and like, you can go to the rental car place and you can get a car 15 minutes early, but you're going to get the Pinto. If you wait 15 minutes, you get the Ferrari. And most people can't wait, so they waive that right. They're like, nope, give me that. I want that. I want this. I know I can do this. And I'll figure this out. They want to do stuff, and that's a trick too. There's levels, different levels to this, everyone. And it's really important that we do learn all of these levels. The reclamation, there's a comment in here about reclaiming securities. So I want you guys to remember that when you go to reclaim securities, you're asserting a subservient position to that of a beneficiary. In other words, you're going to a trustee position, and you don't have a trust right now. So when you guys go and assert that, and I know who's telling you to do it, when you go and assert that position, you're not realizing that you're giving up your equitable position. You could sit back and know who you are and give directions and orders of what you want, or you can go do the things that you're doing and lose all that right to have somebody go do it for you. And then from there on out, you establish the precedent on how things are going to be handled. That's how trust works. If you guys are going to waive your position as a beneficiary, which always existed, it never stopped. It was just wrong. If you're going to waive that, then you're going to give up other things. So just be careful of that. And I encourage you that if you're involved in any other groups, especially one that rhymes with Anna and ends with the rhyme Von Wrights, then you need to really be careful. Okay. I don't want to insult anyone. I just want to tell you that, like, you have some corrections to make, because in 1933, the proclamation that Franklin D. Roosevelt signed threw all the state people into the same category. And so it's a trust, guys. It's not a matter of giving a notice like that. You have to repudiate a trust. And in order to do that, you have to know what that is. So nobody's talking about trust. No one's talking about it because they don't understand it. And I've been through all those positions where all those people are. And these people are really, really great with history, man. I'm telling you, they're with history. But when they're sending you right back to the source, which is, well, the Vatican is the source, guys. And the Vatican has records of you guys too. So I'll be showing that to my classes very soon on how to take care of the Vatican's issues, because that's a whole different ballgame. You guys, you don't realize on how many levels that you've had these adhesion contracts. And these people that are out there that are teaching this, that I've seen, have a very small scope of knowledge. They're teaching you how to go do one specific thing, but they're waiving all kinds of rights because they don't even know they exist. Because it's a lot easier to go into what they're doing and to do what they're doing and to teach it because they know it, than it is to go and learn a new thing that has more, it's more complicated. You have to, like, the only way that I know this is because I've been in this kind of stuff since 2006, 2007. And I've been researching this stuff, up and down. I've been all up and down the statutes. I used to work for a volunteer for Iowa Fathers in a parental rights group. And now I can't tell you how ridiculous I think that whole parental rights garbage is, and how this parental alienation stuff is. You guys got to, like, that is institutions created to make you continue be a victim. As long as you stay a victim, you're never going to be getting out of this. So they want you to just stay in that victimization. And I'm not going to like help you be a victim. I don't want to hear people's sob stories. I want to know what happened so I can help you get a resolution to what happened, if there's a resolution for it, if you have clean hands and if you intend to have clean hands. I'm not here to help anybody that's inequitable at all. Like, you guys gotta want to fix what you did. You gotta know that, hey, you know what? Somewhere along this way, I know that I created this thing called sin, and sin is just like not knowing what you did. That's all it is. It's a creation of something. It's a perversion of the law, and it's a perversion of God's law, and it's because you went and made an agreement in this public thing and told somebody else to take care of you when you got God taking care of you if you want it. But you abandoned that to go with this public thing and these public people, and we see where this is going with this public trust. So again, I welcome you guys, to this program. I welcome you guys to come and, join some of the things that we're doing here, because we are, we're really helping a lot of people do a lot of complicated things. And, I've done my best in this journey to remain in, I only have so many choices on what I can do on decisions, because I have a whole group of people that are, following what I'm teaching. So I'm doing my best to remain in honor in every way that I can, guys and gals. And so, we're going to continue to venture on this journey and to help people that really want to change their lives and make differences, because it's just a mistake. And if you guys have a mistake, then equity will see done that which ought to be done. Again, I really appreciate you guys coming out and joining us. Again, if you found this informative and valuable, please like and share and subscribe for more informative content. And again, we'll see you guys very soon. I appreciate you very much, and have an amazing day.